Have everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna play in their Yandere Danes and Phone.io called Access Denied. Let's begin. How do you define the story? Female. Treasure, what should I call you? Lion. The evening crept over the city with a suffocating dusty cloud. My footsteps echoed in my ears with heavy, rhythmic beat. Inside, everything was literally boiling with rage. In my head, the squeaky, self-satisfied voice of my boss was still ringing. You're not going hard enough. You need to burn with your work. Go to heck. Burn? I'm really ashes. I'm so sick of all this. Probably just taking away our soul every time we go into work with that kind of boss. Every day, the same thing. The same face, the same stupid reports. This endless gray, frickin' Groundhog Day. I sharply turned the corner, trying to cut through the old alley, and suddenly stopped. In the depths of the brick dead end, between the blank walls and two high rises, a sign glowed dimly. A strange crooked shop. I had walked this road hundreds of times. Where did it come from? Have I really become so blind from fatigue that I just never noticed the shabby facade before? The door jingled pitifully with a bell. Inside, it smelled like dry herbs, old paper, and stale dust. Open junk was piled on the shelves. Broken pocket watches, tarnished candlesticks, and endless porcelain dolls. I was about to leave, feeling the foolishness of my idea, when my gaze caught a far shelf. Is that a voodoo doll? There, among a pile of yellow magazines, lay a plastic box. The most ordinary, cracked on the corner disc case. On the faded cover was a single word, written in glitchy font: Matrix. Wait, we could just watch the Matrix? Okay. At that moment, something clicked inside. For a second, it seemed to me that its barely hum passed through the room. The disc itself seemed to beckon me. My fingers reached for the plastic by themselves. Out of nowhere, a hunched man, the seller, appeared. His cloudy eyes glistened from under his bushy brows. As if in a trance, I pulled a couple of crumbled bills from my pocket and threw them onto the wooden counter. Clenching the disc in my hand, I almost ran out into the fresh air. At home, everything was as usual. A hot shower washed away some of the day's grime, but didn't relieve the oppressive feeling of emptiness. I sat on the bed in my bathrobe, turning the strange purchase in my hands. Why did I even spend money on this? Some ancient pirated copy of the Matrix. Alright, let's see what you are. But this disappeared into the drive with a dry rustle. The screen blazed back for a moment. A green loading bar creeped across the center and froze dead at 90%. A minute passed, 2, 3. The laptop cooler howled like a wounded animal. The case began to heat up frantically. Great, as if I didn't have enough of a crappy day. Now my laptop freezes because of this junk. I think we got a virus. That's it. I'm pulling out. I irritably reached my hand towards the drive button. It's like I don't want to have a driver on mine anymore. But as soon as my fingertips touched the plastic, a powerful wave of icy currents shot through my body. The motor flashed dazzling white, burning light into my eyes. My head was squeezed in vice. Readily around me collapsed into a tiny point. Reality, reality around me collapsed into a tiny point. I collapsed into the darkness, losing consciousness. I have the translation. Transition. Cold. The first thing I felt was unnatural bone-piercing cold. I opened my eyes and sat up sharply, breathing heavily. My room was not around me. I was sitting right in the asphalt in the middle of a huge endless street. The houses around seemed drawn, their windows dark and lifeless. There was a ring, dead silence in the air. No cars, no birds, no wind. Complete, absolute nowhere. Where am I? What happened? Laptop disk. Why don't I remember anything? What's my name? Who am I? God, I can't remember my name. I jumped to my feet, my heart pounding wildly in my chest. And at the moment, a quiet, insulting voice came from right behind me. Don't panic like that. A bout of amnesia upon I just said it. Transition is a complete normal side effect. I gasped and pulled back sharply. Does that mean I'm there? Brain fart, not even his name. Am I the main character in Matrix now? There's a guy standing in front of me. Tall, with unnaturally pale skin, and long, white hair. My brain, I need to, John Wick. Brain fart on his name. I was wearing a loose white sweater, too cozy for this creepy place. I know it's Nero? But what was most frying was his gaze, narrow, attentive eyes looking at me with some kind of predatory, triumphant fullness. A soft, but therefore even more terrifying smirk played on his lips. A hidden fret emanated from his entire figure. Excuse me, can you help me? What a wise decision. Of course, I'll take care of you. My name's Zormus. And if you really want answers, and not to freeze to death here, I strongly advise you follow me. He turned around and slowly walked along the empty street. His confidence was hypnotic. I looked around at the faceless boxes of houses. I realized I simply had no choice, and I rushed after him. His dwelling turned out to be very close. A small, cozy-looking house, but inside the same sterile odor resigned as on the street. No personal belongings or photos. I snuffed at the doorstep, hugging my shoulders, following him. I made something for you. You must be hungry. A deep plate appeared on the table. Inside was a strange, translucent porridge like a mass. It glowed faintly in the twilight and smelled of something clayly sweet, like bananas mixed with some unfamiliar medical herbs. I'm gonna go with eat everything he brought. I'm glad to see your appetite. The moment the last spoon of the strange food was gone, I felt my body fill with a leaden, irresistible heaviness. My head became impossibly heavy. My thoughts tangled. The room before my eyes began to swim and double. What happened to me? What did you put in it? I asked, barely moving my tongue. Solmus was right next to me in an instant. His strong arms caught my limp body. Easily like a feather, he lifted me into his arms and carried me to the soft bed in the corner of the room. Gently laid me down, covering me with a blanket up to my chin. Then he sat on the edge of the bed, his cold, pale palm resting on my forehead. He began to slowly, gently stroke my head, running his fingers through my hair. His eyes now burned with the frantic absolute adoration. Good girl. Good girl you are. Sleep, my treasure. Sleep and don't think about anything. Now you don't need to be angry. You don't need to run anywhere. You're here with me forever. I'll protect you from everything. Under this quiet, hypnotic whisper, I finally plunged into deep, dreamless sleep. Ending of day 1. I had a strange dream. A gray office, a familiar feeling of fatigue. Someone was calling my name, but I couldn't make out the voice. And then a flash of green code, and Somus's face, looking straight at me from the screen. I woke up. Reality hit me with a heavy, suffocating press. It was my room, not my bed. Someone else's streets, someone else's sailing. The damn fog in my head was still burning any memories of who I was. The walls around seemed unnaturally faded. Their melodic, dirty tones seemed to be striking. On cotton legs, I went out into the corridor. I walked around the whole house, looking into every room empty. Not a single sound, not a ringing silence. Panic flowed up with renewed vigor. Somus! Good morning, my dear. You remember my name, that's touching. He appeared out of the darkness, as if materialized from the air. How did you sleep in the new place? Tell me, what would you like to do today? I shook my head, shocked, feeling rising anger. Do? Are you kidding me? You're freaking psycho. I don't care about your time. Let me out of here. I pushed him in the chest with all my might. Somus didn't even flinch, as if he were made of marble. Without losing a second, I ran around him and yanked the heavy front door. I jumped out of the street. I ran like I never had in my life. My lungs burned, my legs gave away. I stumblingly rushed forward along these endless gray asphalt roads. Around me stretched rows of absolute identical, faceless houses. Not a single living soul. I stopped, pounded on strangers' windows, banging my fist on locked doors, tearing the skin off my fingers, screaming myself hoarse. Help! Somebody! No one opened for me. Behind the glass was impenetrable darkness and glitching. After half an hour, I was overcome by a chilling horror. I was running in circles. There, that crooked fence. That was a strange dark corner. I had been here 10 minutes ago. The space around suddenly rippled. The picture before my eyes swarmed. The textures of the houses began to stretch unnaturally. The air cracked like a broken TV. A glitch, a strong, brain-beating visual noise. I squeezed my eyes shut from the wild nausea. It's audio glitch. Audio in an eye to eye. And when I opened them, I was standing in the hallway of Somers's house, right in front of the same door I ran out of. So, how was your walk? How do you like the city? Sit down at the table, it's time to eat. I sat down at the table, exhausted. Again, the strange glowing porridge, incredibly, almost hypnotically delicious. Each bite seemed like to dull my fear, replacing it with sleepy submission. Ask about the stretcher of this world. This place is code, you already guessed it. I guessed. There's no sun, no wind, no real life here. So I can do whatever I want. It's Groundhog Day. Everything you see is decorations, houses without inhabitants, streets without cars. The system repeats the same patterns, creating an illusion of reality. I'm the only one who sees the flaws, glitches, cracks in the matrix. Every time you start noticing them too. I already did. His voice was even, as if he was reading technical documentation. Soon, the fatigue took over again. My eyelids began to droop, my body wrapped in a familiar weakness. Someone gently took my hand and led me down a dark corner to the bedroom. Okay, I have to. Suggest he stay close, sleep together. Aw, he lowered himself onto the bed, not taking his eyes off me. The room felt noticeably tighter. He moved very close, closing the distance. He had no idea what was going on inside of me. Well, I was alone. This gray world is so cold. The silence makes your ears ring. I dreamed for so long just to be next to you, to finally warm up. His fingers touched my cheek. He moved them slowly, waiting for a reaction. Don't go. If you disappear now, I don't know what will happen to me. Please just stay. He froze, waiting, as if assessing whether I was mocking him. Only when I didn't pull away, he leaned forward, slightly, frozen next to me, anticipation. I felt my eyelids glow heavy, and I began to fall asleep right under his whisper. The waking was abrupt. No smooth surfacing from the sleep. I was just thrown to the surface like icy water. The room around looked somewhat wrong. In the corners, the wallpaper showed strange pixeled squares. It's glitching out. They appeared and disappeared, revealing absolute blackness beyond the walls. Can we just walk? Wait. Oh, can we just walk through walls now? It seemed this world would no longer contain itself and was literally bursting at the seams. And went into the living room. Summers was sitting at the table, chin resting on his hand. He was thoughtfully watching as the air in the center of the room practically exploded with small green sparks. Reality is unstable. The cycle is ending. Today, everything will return to its place, one way or another. So we'll go back to reality. This is our last shared space. Objects around us began to disappear with a terrible crack. First, a chest of drawers by the wall dissolved, then the floor under our feet turned into a digital surface. The walls of the house flickered, and endless lines of code began to appear through them. I see zeros and ones. Everything around us was shaking. Objects fell and disappeared, leaving only emptiness and the two of us. Someone stood opposite me. His figure also began to flicker at the edges, dissolving into the air. There's no more time. What do you choose? It will accept my fate. Finally, we'll be happy. Let me ask you one more question. What have I become to you during this time? You're my salvation. I don't want to go back. Your words, they mean everything to me. The ground shook beneath my feet. Pixel emptiness began to rapidly absorb the remnants of the drawn city. The world around us finally crumbled to the millions of fragments. And we still end up this back to our reality. Only a blinding whiteness in his outstretched hand remained. I took a step forward and tightly gripped his cold palm. The white light around us instantly stabilized, turning into a soft, even glow. The falling lines of code froze and turned into a peaceful, clear sky. Someone sighed with relief. Once on his face, for the first time, not a mask appeared, but a real, calm smile. Finally, you're with me. You have no idea how happy I am. Please stay by my side. Always. With me. My past, my name, my former gray life, all of it finally melted away, losing all meaning. And now there was only this endless light, and the person who created an entire universe for me. We stayed together, and we stayed here together. Ending one, acceptance. Involuntary stayed with Somas. I hate him. Hatred is also a strong feeling. It suits me. Let me ask you one more question. What have I become to you during this time? You're my prison. I want to escape, but I can't. Even your hatred is better than indifference. The ground shook beneath my feet. Pixeled emptiness began to rapidly absorb the remnants of the drawn city. The world around us finally crumbled into millions of fragments. Only a blinding whiteness in his outstretched hand remained. Hesitantly unable to take a step forward or step back. Someone looked at me, my waving figure, for a long time. Then his gaze darkened sharply. He realized I would never choose him myself. Without waiting for my answer, he made a sharp movement forward and grabbed my wrist. The world around us finally collapsed into darkness. I woke up in a completely enclosed space. There were no windows, no doors, no streets, only 4 faded walls and a heavy iron door without a handle. Someone sat on the chair opposite, silently, intently watching my every breath. He rewrote the code of this reality, removing any hints of exits or random glitches. I stood here, but now as a hostage to someone else's unyielding will. Ending 3, captivity. Your attempts at resistance failed. Someone locked you in the deepest room of data. Okay, this time I did all the neutral answers, so you are a riddle. I haven't figured out my feelings yet. He bit his lip. Too bad I expected a different answer. The ground shook beneath my feet. Pixel emptiness began to rapidly absorb the remnants of the drawn city. The world around us finally crumbled into millions of fragments. Only a blinding whiteness in his outstretched hand remained. I took a step back, breaking all ties, allowed the glitches to quickly absorb me. The escape exploded with a deafening crack. I closed my eyes, feeling myself fall into an endless void, and suddenly opened my eyes because I was breathing heavily. I was sitting on my bed in my bathrobe. The laptop on my knees was spinning, and its fan rapidly. A plastic disc flew out of the drive into a dry click. With a dry click. On the screen, the message, data reading error, glowed. With trembling hands, I pulled out the disc, and its mere surface was a deep black crack. The game was burned out. I returned to my reality, to my ordinary life, to my gray, everyday life. It was all over. But somehow, looking into the empty monitor, I feel only a dull, unreadable longing. Ending 2, escape, using a system glitch. You jumped into the cold void, and woke up at home. And this is what happens if I do all the right answers. You're my salvation. I don't want to go back. Your words, they mean everything to me. You know, sometimes I feel like this world is too cramped for the two of us. What do you do if I broke this reality? I'd like you to come for me into my real world. The world shook beneath my feet. Pixel emptiness began to rapidly absorb the remnants of the drawn city. The world around us finally crumbled into millions of fragments. Only a blinding whiteness in his outstretched hand remained. I looked straight into his deep, unnatural eyes, and quietly said, I don't want to stay in this fake, but I want you to come with me. Source's eyes widened in surprise. The next second, a white light blinded me, and I lost consciousness. I woke up with a sharp breath in my dark room. The laptop was turned off. The usual home surrounding were all around. I sighed with relief, deciding it was just a crazy, realistic dream. But as soon as I turned to get out of bed, the floorboards in the corner of the room creaked quietly, distinctly. A quiet velvet chuckle came from the thick night shadow. The silver strands of hair glistened in the moonlight. Somerset slowly took a step forward, emerging from the shadow of my room. Secret ending, Somerset's hacked the boundaries of reality and came free into the real world. Well, that's a nice ending. And that was Access Denied. If you want my content, please consider subscribing and comment down below, like the video. See you guys next time.